So today on the podcast, I have with me Eleanor Terry. Now, I'm pretty stoked to have her in here because she's got some pretty big news that's been unfolding. She's been working very hard in the automotive community for a very long time. Also been chipping away at Twitch, and then has recently found herself a little junket with Hyundai, if I understand the news correctly.
You sure do.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Tell me a little.
What is going on? Let's start with the big news.
The big news is in exactly 6 days' time, I'm going to be flying to the UK, courtesy of Hyundai N, to the Goodwood Festival of Speed to be unveiling something very, very cool. It is the Ioniq 5N. So, yeah. That's going to be exciting. Going to be, typical. Pull the sheets off and unveil it to the world,
But at Goodwood.
At Goodwood.
At the Festival of Speed. Yes. Oh, I'm so jealous already.
It is a dream. Yeah. You grow up watching. You grow up watching Goodwood, and it's one of those events that it's a bucket list event.
Oh, it's iconic. It is one of the most special events anywhere in the world, and because there's so many manufacturers that can access that event as well, and so many great cars over in that part of the world, it has draw like nothing else.
Yeah. Well, we saw it, was it last year? Was it with the McMurtry setting the record? That was something else. Didn't even know that thing existed until that. So there you go. That just shows you the exposure you can get at Goodwood, all the cool cars that rock up to Goodwood, and you're going there with Hyundai.
And I'm going there. You're the and again, let's hope I get this right. You can correct me if I'm wrong. The influencer.
Yep. So N-fluencer is what they call it. Yep.
See, I can't say it in Australian. You say it a little bit more eloquently.
A bit more eloquent, yes. Hyundai have a program called the N-fluencer Program. So essentially, they select one person to represent that country for the N brand, and I was very, very lucky to be selected as the influencer for Australia for 2023. There are obviously other influencers around the world from, you've got Spain, Germany, there's America, there's a whole bunch. So we're all going to be, congregating at Goodwood this year, and it's going to be amazing. N-Power.
That is wild. Representing Australia for Hyundai, for their performance arm. Now, this is a crazy story, and obviously you don't just wake up and become, Hyundai's influencer. There's a lot more to this story, and I must say I've been watching you chip away. You've been working hard. Like, you have been grinding it out for many years.
Yeah, I've been trying my best.
Mate, doing your best.
Can't do it by myself, though. I can't take all the credit.
You're very modest. But look, take me back, because you weren't born here either. You don't have the thick Australian accent, mate.
No, see, I wasn't born in Australia.
We can tell you're not one of us.
No, so I was actually born in a little town called Hereford in the UK. Let me just have a sip of this water first. Mm-hmm. So I was born in a town called Hereford. In the Herefordshire.
SAS are based out of there?
Yep. So, and the TA, the Territorial Army, my dad trained at the Territorial Army. So, a lot of cool stuff in Hereford, especially the fish and chips, really good. So I grew up there. I was about 10 when I moved to Australia with my my parents and my siblings. Made the big trek across the sea, and now here we are.
And why did they leave? What was the?
So my mum, she works in special care nursery with all the premature babies, and she got offered a job in the lovely land down under, and when you get offered a job in such a beautiful country, then you take it.
Why not? Go here. The sun comes 100%. Out over there.
And the thing is with my mum as well, she has these moments where she thinks, did I do the right thing? I feel bad that I took you all away from your family. And I said, no, I think, honestly, this is probably the best thing you could have ever done for us.
Good country.
It is incredible. And I cannot thank her enough every single day for bringing us over here. So it's a change. It's very fucking hot.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit
really hot.
Bit toasty.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a hot minute to get used to.
Yeah. But it's definitely a good decision on her behalf. So.
Do you remember that? Do you remember coming here as
I do,
reasonably vividly?
I actually do, because I didn't realise, because I was so young, my mum was like, oh, we're going to be moving to Australia. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably just down the road or something like that. I was like, yeah, it's just another town. So here's me, going to school every day going, yeah, I'll see you guys, back in school next year. And then we were saying goodbye to my friends. And I was like, why is everybody so upset? I'm like, we're not going far away. And then someone broke it to me. They're like, oh, Australia is like on the other side of the world, right? You're not going to see your friends again until you come back. And I was like, 10 years old, my dreams were shattered and I was so upset. And, but it was, now that I look back at it, it's quite funny. So.
How was it coming in here? How did you find like starting school and all that sort of stuff and coming in with a weird accent with the kids a bit?
It wasn't good.
No.
It was really shit. So moved over here. I do remember one specific time where I was, I think we moved to Carindale was the first place we moved to. And
4152 represent.
4152.
That's where I grew up.
Mm-hmm. Just down the road from the big shopping centre.
Yeah, mate, in the Dale.
Yeah, in the Dale.
Where'd you go to school there?
Whites Hill State College.
Whites Hill. So you should have gone to Belmont.
Yeah, I should have, because Whites Hill State College was horrible.
Yeah.
So I went to Whites Hill State College for just year 5, I believe it was, and it was shit. Obviously, you walk into the school, everybody already knows each other, and I've got this really weird accent, and they're all like, oh, could you please say this for me? And I'm like, no, I can't say that for you. If you just talk to me in normal conversation, it might come up. How about that? But, kids are kids.
Yeah,
and
kids can be real dickheads.
Probably the worst schooling year of my life. Got bullied a lot, of course. I do remember one lunchtime I took my food into the toilets to eat it because people were just, they were that shit. One specific memory was, I think I sat on an ant's nest, like a bull ant's nest. And I think I had like maybe 10 plus bites, and all the other kids were just laughing at me while I was sitting there, brushing all these ants off. And yeah. We try and brush that year off. We try and ignore everything that happened in that year, but...
Push that deep down, yeah.
I honestly forget that I even went there sometimes. I'm like, you know what, that place didn't exist.
No, and the bull ants are pretty bad. My wife makes fun of me because I really get a bit jumpy. I'm like, whoa.
No, they're horrible.
But I'm like, man, I have like trauma, childhood trauma memories because they were at the front of mum and dad's place, and when they got you...
They
mate, it burns, and they don't get you once. They bite you like 5 times, and then all their mates come and have a go. I'm like, oh.
And as a, was I probably like 12? 13?
Yeah. And you'd never have experienced that. Yeah, they're bloody terrible. No. And then all the other kids making fun of you at the same time. You couldn't make it any worse.
Mm-hmm. But we moved from there, thankfully. Yeah.
Where'd you go after that?
So after that, we moved to... I believe from there we moved to Munrooban or somewhere around there.
Yeah,
so I moved a bit further south, and then went to St. Francis College in Crestmead, 4132 represent.
And were they a bit nicer?
They were a lot nicer, 100%.
See, it's the country kids, mate.
It is, yeah. And a lot of the students in school were from Samoan background as well, very lovely. And it was a different experience growing up in that school and seeing all the different cultures. And it was just, obviously you still, experience your fair share of bullying and all that, but, kids are kids.
Yeah.
But it was a lot better than...
And if there's people that have come in from other parts of the world as well, like if they've left their family in Samoa and come here, or if they've, there'd be more of that, so there'd be more people that related to your situation.
Yeah.
Rather than,
what's your... I think definitely glad that I went to that school and met a lot of great people. Still friends with a lot of people from that school. And it's our 10-year reunion this year.
Get out of town.
Yeah, so we're trying to, I've got a June from St. Francis as well. I've reached out to her and we're going to try and organise something for a 10-year reunion, which is going to be exciting.
See, that's cool. And you've got to tell people you invented the Post-it note. That's the thing.
Got to, walk in there with my new lawn cap on, my Hyundai.
Mate, just wear your race suit, drive the race car in and go, what's up?
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm excited, but it's going to be good seeing people again.
Yeah. And so tell me about your, through schooling and that sort of stuff. What were the cars already a thing, or were you, which way was your life going? Were you deciding for yourself? Were you being decided for you? Were your parents...
It wasn't like I've always grown up loving cars. So I grew up in the PlayStation 1 era, the Sega Mega Drive. I remember the first racing game I had was V-Rally. So it B-Rally, trying to beat Dad all the time, doing the time attack with the ghost cars following you, and him going, "Oh, this handset's broken. There's something wrong with it," and you switch it over, and he still loses.
You're
So
like, no, mate, it's you.
Crash Team Racing. So I was always in love with the racing games growing up. We got Forza, and the other thing that sort of sparked it was Dad was always into his old school Volkswagens. Every year in the UK, he would take us to the Malvern Volkswagen Festival. I believe that was what it was called. It was something like that. So we'd all drive in the combi, and Mum had a Beetle as well, and we'd drive up to the Malvern show, and it was a camping ground as well. So set up the tent and just go looking around at all the other Volkswagens. So it started off as an old school Volkswagen love, and so it went from slow to eventually gradually going a little bit faster, getting into the faster cars. But that's essentially what sparked it was Dad's love for the old school Volkswagens, and holding the torch for him while he tried to fix everything, and, getting yelled at when you're not holding the torch in the right spot.
Mate, that is a rite of passage, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. Once you learn how to hold the torch, that's it. Achieved. Life is good. You can tick that one off.
Because I was wondering as well, because obviously Volkswagen features prominently in your story as you go forward with one of the cars that you've modified. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, because, it's a very specific love. It's a very specific love.
Yeah.
When you enjoy, old Volkswagens, it's like old Alfa Romeos.
Yeah.
You're just like hurting yourself.
You just love
terrible.
having oil leaks.
It's just pain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pain.
But as I say, if it's got an oil leak, it's like a self-filtering system. Right?
That's what I say. Oh, I say that about my Land Cruiser. I'm like, oh, mate, that's just rust protection.
If there's oil coming out, I've got oil.
Yeah, means there's oil in there. But, and when it splashes around, I'm like, yeah, that
lubricant,
stops the rust. It's fantastic. I love it. So, all right. So it was your old boy that got you into that stuff, had the initial interest, and then obviously you had a bit of interest in the racing games and stuff. Mm-hmm. What was your trajectory after school?
I actually don't. I never had a plan or anything like that. I never sat there and went, I want to do racing. I want to be a race driver one day, something like that. I never, ever thought of that. When I left school, I had no idea what I was doing. I was a bit of a bum, essentially. So we moved out to Victoria Point, 4162, represent. Oh, it was 4165. It's 4165.
Shame.
I have no idea. 4162 is Cleveland, I believe. I don't know. Anyway, so we moved out to Victoria Point, and I sort of didn't really have a goal. I didn't even know what I wanted to do for work. So I bummed around for about a year playing Skyrim on PlayStation 3 and doing nothing, essentially. I worked at Domino's, doing deliveries, and I didn't really have a plan, so I was kind of lost. And I ended up getting a job with my dad. So he works at an engineering company. And I, asked, do you need any help there? I'd love to make some money. Went and got a job there doing factory work, so CNC machining, loading machines up, making sure everything's in check. And was there for nearly 2 years, and I thought, do I really want to be doing this for the rest of my life? No. So I met Andrew, Andrew Price, and he runs the debt collection, Southeast Legal Services, and, sort of hit it off. Like, I'd already known him before from the car scene, so I already met a bunch of people with my Volkswagen going to, like, Downshift and all these little, like, car shows. So we're already friends, and then we met again when I was getting my window tint done on my car, and I was like, oh, shit, is that Andrew? What's that fuzzy stuff on your face? That's not, the Andrew that I know. So, we went and got some food and had a chat, and then I started helping him out with his debt collection stuff, just doing a bit of office work here and there. And I was like, it's actually quite different, and I quite enjoyed it. And I was like, this is definitely something I could see myself doing instead of, the factory work. And so started getting into that, and then eventually it progressed into the knocking on doors and all that, and here we are.
And the mad getaways.
Yeah,
right. So that was so you went from Domino's just sort of figuring it out to working at the CNC, which would actually be pretty cool. That'd be cool stuff to learn. Just
definitely cool, but for me it was sort of
no, forever.
I didn't know like the ins and outs of it. I was essentially just loading the machines up
And you went straight from that into working for that business. Wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's definitely a different path. I didn't expect myself doing this, debt collection, but it's something I enjoy doing because I always think to myself, if I'm not doing it, going and knocking on people's doors and having a chat with people, then there's probably going to be someone else doing it that's not quite as nice.
You'd at least be very pleasant to them and understanding.
I hope so.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you have to draw a line, of course.
I'm sure that you do.
Yeah, but I'd rather it be me than them dealing with, somebody a lot worse.
There you go. Yeah. Now, I need to back this story up because we've fast-forwarded through a bit here. When did your Volkswagen project start? Was that your first car or did you have something before that?
That is my baby, my first car.
That's your first car?
That is my first car.
And because it's obviously quite a nice car now, did you buy it as a big bucket of bolts? Or was it
absolutely. Giant bucket of shit. So it was my first car. I was 16 years old, saved up a bit of money. Had a bit of help from my gran, so she sent over a little bit of money, saved up, as well as my mum. And I had... I think it was about, I can't remember exactly how much it cost. It was quite cheap. It had acrylic paint on it that was all peeling, and it had a giant wing on the back of it, like the big, the whale tail.
Yeah, when people tried to turn them into the Porsches. That was big in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, it was great for putting my KFC Wicked Wings on it, but that's about all it was good for. So it wasn't in great shape. And... obviously, at the time, I wasn't making much money, but I was desperate to try and make it look nice. And that's around that time when I started that job with my dad. And so I was making some money. Obviously, I was still living at home with my parents. I wasn't, paying much rent, or I don't even think I was paying any, to be honest. So I had a bit of money to spare. And at the time, I was with my ex, Ben, who helped me with the rebuild. So put a bit of money aside, and we thought we'd make it like a bit of a project of ours to make it look good. So it was a backyard job, essentially, or a shed job, as they call it. And the one specific thing about my Volkswagen is 1968. And at the end of 1967 was the year that they changed the shape. Well, not the shape entirely, but with the bonnet and the rear engine lid, with the earlier models pre-67, they come down to a point right down at the end of the apron, whereas when you go into the 68 models, it sort of like snubs off a bit sooner. And I always liked the look of the pre-67, but I didn't want to get rid of my car, and I didn't have the money to, go out and buy an earlier model. So, lots of cutting, lots of welding, lots of work, lots of, stripping the paint, and all the guards on the car are fiberglass as well. So you can imagine that my hands are very sore, and I still have calluses from that. So, trying to strip the paint back. So I think it was about 2 months we spent on it because it was my daily driver. So I really needed to get it back on the road. We resprayed it. And so everything was done DIY, your backyard job. But the way it turned out was the way I wanted it. It was perfect. So that was my first car. Still is my car. It's sitting in my garage now. It does collect dust a little bit. I'll be honest, but it's more of I'll drive it here and there because when I sit in that car, I smell everything, and I think it just takes me back to the moment that I bought the car, and it's just always makes me smile. Even if it's slow, it makes me smile every single time I drive it.
Mate, it's the memories trapped in those cars.
The time when I blew the engine at Mount Tambourine at 2:00 in the morning. Lots of memories with that car, but wouldn't change it for the world.
Because that car's probably how I first came across you.
Yep.
And, we didn't know each other back then. But I remember the car because obviously there are certain vehicles that stand out. And that Volkswagen in that colour...
Yep.
It really, it was a real statement of a vehicle.
Yeah. It's, I definitely went with the really bright blue on that one, didn't I?
And it's pretty low.
It is. So it's dropped 2 splines in the rear. And
yes, the old 2-spline drop.
The old 2-spline drop, that's it. Don't go 3 because that's, when you start breaking stuff. But the issue is, so the wheels that came on the car, they're Dragway Pros. So the person I bought it off, they've gone and got these done custom made for the size, but they're still too big. So I can't actually lower it anymore. I can't get smaller tires on it. So it's sort of stuck at that height. But to me, it's still perfect. I didn't want to get rid of those wheels because it was, the wheels it came on, it was just, they're sort of like a special thing to me.
Bloody cool.
Yeah.
And that car obviously then introduced you to, I guess a larger portion of the Southeast Queensland automotive scene. Because as you said, you attended Downshift and those sorts of things. And I mean, I don't think there's a bigger meet
No, it was
that
huge.
happens in Southeast Queensland than the Downshift events.
Yeah, so I think that's where I met a majority of people that I know today, was because of my Volkswagen. Is because that's how I know a lot of people now. So yeah, going to Downshift, and there was the occasional Friday nights at somewhere or other someone's organised. There was Munchies, at Acacia Ridge. Everyone's going to go to Munchies once in their life. So I met a lot of people purely because of my car, and that I'm very thankful for, of course. So I believe, as you said, I've met you because of my car. I met Andrew. I think pretty much 90% of the people I know, or my friend group, are from cars. So
It means they're good people.
it does, yeah.
There is a wonderful common bond between car people because we get it.
We do.
We understand where the sensible, rational person looks at that and goes, why would you spend so much money on that? And you're like, you just don't understand.
No. If I want to fix oil leaks every day, I'll fix oil leaks every day.
People still buy old Harley Davidsons. I mean, seriously, they're just...
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want, that's actually the picture that comes to my mind when you say oil leaks is an old Harley. That's why they put rugs under them as well.
I've got a giant cardboard box flat laid underneath the engine bay of the Beetle at home, but
I've only ever known, my dad had old Jags, so XJs.
My condolences.
Yeah, correct. So I've only ever known cars that dropped oil.
Yeah. Well, my brother had he had a Jaguar 420G. The big boy. And that was just problems.
Yeah, terrible.
Just problems.
Terrible.
It was a cool car.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Beautiful
Drove
cars.
Lovely, but just get rid of it.
Yeah, danger.
Yeah. If you want to, blow a hole in your pocket.
I
money.
see young people doing XJ6s and stuff now because you can buy them for like $1,000. I'm like, oh God, you have no idea the trauma that you're bringing into your life.
Yeah.
See, they could
just
potentially...
let them learn the hard way.
They could potentially be the new Alfa Romeo. I was chatting with Rory and Jess going, what is the, if you're not a real enthusiast till you own an Alfa, but Alfas are actually getting old and expensive. You could potentially not be an enthusiast till you've owned a Jag.
I think you might be onto something there.
I think that's it. You would get the same level of trauma.
Yeah.
Buy yourself an XJ6 and then teach yourself about cars.
Yeah, I think
Yikes.
people have to learn the hard way. You got to experience a lemon at some point in your life, 100%, or some form of rust bucket.
Some sort of bucket that still brings you joy and is still beautiful.
Yeah.
But look, Volkswagen did seem like a fairly sensible choice there. So that got you into that world and in around a lot of those sort of a lot of the car scene, I guess. But see, you've kept taking this in I guess a specific direction because you had this interest, and I can see the stories converging because you had the interest in the gaming and all those sorts of things, and then you had the interest in the cars. At what point did those two converge?
How did motorsport and racing sort of come from an old school Volkswagen that can barely go over 110 on the highway? I actually try and think about that myself, and I try and remember where it kind of stemmed from, because I remember one of my first track days was it was a Happy Laps, and it was in the Beetle, and it was the the Euro Day at Lakeside. And I took the Beetle out, and I had a heap of fun. I'm sure that the Beetle probably didn't have that much fun because I was, revving the knackers out of it, as my dad calls it. So that was one of my first, days on the track. And I just thought to myself, I want to do something more. I want to go faster. Obviously I don't want to be driving around in a Beetle on the track all the time because, getting passed left, right, and centre by everybody. And then, I was thinking back to the days when I was playing, V-Rally and Forza and the amount of fun that I had. And I thought, well, that would be even more fun if I was actually in the car doing it myself. And that's when I sort of started expanding with the cars. I started getting a bit more money, and I bought, what did I buy? I bought an E30. So I've had my fair share of BMWs as well, and I think the BMWs is sort of what ignited the go a little bit faster sort of passion. So a good old friend of mine, Matt Gresham, sort of started that with I bought a 318i, like a white one, and I made it look cool for the street, slammed it and all that, and then that one got written off. And I thought to myself, do I really want to be driving around in slammed cars all the time on the streets, worrying about speed bumps and scraping and getting defects and all that? So we built another E30 from a shell from, do you know Chris Fatinos?
I know the name, but don't know personally.
Good old Chris. This is an old shell of his that Matt had in his shed. So I bought that shell, and it was gorgeous. Had a really nice sort of grey metallic paint job on it, and the engine bay was that purple, the Commodore purple? Everyone knows the Commodore purple. I can't remember the exact name of it. So, and that was nothing. Like, it was a complete shell, no suspension, nothing at all. And we made it like a little project. And we put, what was it? M52 B25, I believe, was the engine we put in it. So a little 2.5. And it was fun. It wasn't really quick, it was quick for the street and all that. We made it look beautiful, but we put the 8 series wheels on it, the what are they called, the E31 wheels. And then I took it to a couple of track days, and that's when it started getting, growing and growing, and I was like, oh, we're going a little bit quicker now. And that's when Andrew sort of came into it as well, because as if anyone doesn't know, Andrew's really heavily into motorsport. He started in the Swift series and all that. So I kind of got pushed in the right direction by Andrew, which is, I'm really grateful for. And I wanted to go quicker. So we decided, oh, you know what, let's put an M54 B30 in it, so the 3-litre 6-cylinder from an E39. Did that, and at the time, Andrew was competing in World Time Attack Challenge, but he was in his Audi A3, and I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I think the Audi may have been, broken or something like that, as cars do.
Gearbox, apparently.
That's right, gearbox and drive shafts and all that jazz. So I said, well, why don't you take my car? Take the E30, it's perfect. They don't call it God's chariot, without a reason. So he took that when it had the 2.5 in it, and took it around Sydney Motorsport Park. I can't remember the exact time he did, but had fun with that one. And I was, really excited seeing a car that I'd built going around, whizzing around the track. It was sort of like an accomplishment to me. I was very proud of myself, but also there was sort of something missing. I was like, I've built this car, but somebody else is driving it. Why am I not driving my own car? So then we put the M54 B30 in it, as I said before. Went a bit quicker, but still there was something wrong. Andrew was driving it. I wasn't driving it. So, he's whizzing around doing World Time Attack Challenge. He's, giving the car the beans. And I'm still sitting there watching him go around. And I was just like, why am I not driving my own car? So then, unfortunately, the inevitable happened, as it does in motorsport. The car, unfortunately, got written off at Lakeside. Very unforgiving track, as they all say. So the car got written off. Obviously, very devastated because I'd spent years on that car, but it's motorsport. It happens. So at that point, I thought to myself, again, I've, built this cool car, but I wasn't driving it. So what am I going to do to change that? So that's when the Hyundai sort of came into play. So I had driven the E30 at, some race events, but nothing quite serious. So I took it to one of the Stokel training days. And this was quite funny, this one, because it was at Morgan Park. And it was supposed to be just, a training day. And, everyone goes out there thinking, oh, yeah, I'm fucking Michael Schumacher. I'm going to go out there and set, a world record, which is essentially the mentality that I had. So I go out there and I'm like, giving it the beans around the track. And there was one corner I came up to. I can't remember exactly which one it was. But I ended up spinning out, went off onto the gravel. And I think that was a bit of a reality check for me. I was like, I've gone out there thinking I'm, super fast. And I've kind of been hit with this reality of, no, you're not. going to go out there and be the quickest in the world. So, but it still was, I don't even know. This is what I mean when I was telling you earlier that I kind of struggle with the, trying to explain some sort of things. It still ignited that love for motorsport, for racing. And so obviously, as I said before, the car got written off. And then there was sort of this little gap where I wasn't racing. So I bought like a daily driver and like an Audi A3, right, driving that around. And then I unfortunately got hit by a truck in that one. So
You've got a terrible track record of these.
I have a very horrible track record with cars, I do. So I got in an accident in the A3. And so that got written off. And that was when the Hyundai door opened. So I'm sure many of us have seen Mark Torino when he had his Hyundai, and they took that to World Time Attack Challenge, and I saw it and I thought, that's really cool. Like Hyundai have done something pretty cool, and like we've all seen like hot hatches before with your Golfs and your little Renault Meganes and stuff like that, but it was something different about it. So I was on the hunt to try and find a new car. And so I thought, why don't I go get one of these? So before you know it, I've ordered a brand new i30N, had to fly down to Melbourne to pick it up and drive it all the way back. And the beautiful thing about Hyundai is, like, it's a track car, but it's also, a road car as well. Like, it's just sort of, it's the best of both worlds. So drive it to the racetrack, give it the beans, go out there and have some fun. And that was sort of when I realised that I wanted to progress even further with motorsport. I think, yeah.
Because that was one of the things that blew me away, and I spoke to Andrew about this, that you guys picked that car up and, like, very quickly you had it out at Queensland Raceway. Yeah. And, it's a bog stock car and, might have done some tyres or something, but then you were, like, just flogging the guts out of it.
Absolutely.
And I know that Andrew drives hard, and he's there going, this thing's a weapon. And I remember looking at that because, I'd always known Hyundai, I guess, is probably more cheap and cheerful, and, they were just a good,
Hyundai Excels.
solid car. Mate, Excels, accents, as I said, I had an accent for a very long time. And then they've come out of nowhere with this performance arm, and they've built a really good-looking car that absolutely throws down. Mm-hmm. And you go, hang on.
Courtesy of Albert Bierman, of course.
Wild. So did you drive it at that first track day, or did Andrew pinch all the seat time?
Well, he did pinch a fair bit of seat time, but of course it was my car, so I say get out.
Settle down, mate. Get out.
It's my time, You've driven my BMW. Get out of here.
Calm down.
It was the N Festival at Queensland Raceway, and I think we did 99 laps throughout the whole day between myself and Andrew. We absolutely flogged the shit out of that car. And at the end of the day, I drove it home. No issues whatsoever. Drove it home like it was nothing.
That's properly impressive.
It was. And all we had was I think it was brakes and tyres.
See, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And,
so,
as somebody that, I've spent a lot of time in motorsport, and like you just break stuff, and the heat kills everything, and particularly the Australian heat decimates stuff. And QR is a fairly toasty track.
Very hot, yeah.
And so you smashed out 99 laps and then drove it home.
Yep, drove it home like nothing happened.
Wow.
I also took out Best Modified as well. So they were doing like a little bit of an award, for Best Modified, Best Presented, and that was a bit of a surprise. I hadn't actually done much to it.
I was going to say, what did you modify? You did the battery and a few things, wasn't it?
This was before we did all that, I believe.
Really? What did you do to it?
It was mostly cosmetic stuff. So, we had like but this was like, when Hyundai was sort of, the N brand was first emerging. So not much had actually been done.
No.
So I, got like the little like lip kit on it. I'd just subtle things here and there. So I tinted the lower section of the indicator, not the whole tail light, because, I want to actually have people see me when I'm braking. What else is it? Just
started styling.
It was mostly cosmetic stuff, but it was just enough to hit that sweet spot. Yeah. It wasn't overdone or anything like that.
And you went to this as a customer of so you obviously did you get a dealership invite or something like that? Was that how
The N Festival?
Yeah,
No, that's for every single N owner.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's an event that they hold every single year, and it's open to enthusiasts, as we're all called. So the first one was at Queensland Raceway that I went to, and then there was Winton. The next year was Winton, and then they did the Bend, and now we're going to be going back to Sydney Motorsport Park this year.
And they reached out to you, like that was part of it, like as an owner, and
it's just an event that they organise, and the owners can see it. We share it, and everyone just reacts and goes to it, and it's honestly the most welcoming community you could ever come across. They go above and beyond for their customers, but I honestly don't see us as customers. I think it's more friends and family like that. That's the way that they treat you, because at the N Festival at Queensland Raceway, I remember there was like a bit of a noise coming from the front left. And the first thing that Jeff Fear did, so he's the master tech and he's, the wizard of N, he just said, bring your car over here. Just got the jack out, immediately jacked it up, had a look, and they were so willing to help. And that's what it's all about. And that's what has kept me with the N brand this whole time. Because
that's wild. What a beautiful invitation into it. Because that's sort of the thing that you'd get, like your Porsche customer experience, those sorts of things, where you get that level of care.
You feel like a VIP the whole time.
Absolutely. But they're also, they're an affordable car as well. Like they're not, you're not a six-figure car. It's not a six-figure performance car. You've got genuine bang for buck.
And it comes with track warranty as well.
Track warranty?
Track warranty.
Talk to me about that.
So Hyundai offer track warranty, which is essentially, I don't believe it covers competitive. So, there's obviously the fine print.
Disclaimer, read the PDS.
Disclaimer,
this is not financial advice. This is not insurance advice.
But everyone knows that I have flogged the absolute living daylights out of my car.
Yes.
And I have had my fair share of warranty issues. Okay, so one of them was the boost control solenoid. There's been little bits here and there, but every single time I've taken it in, with them fully aware that I've been, sending it on the track, they've seen me at these events, giving it all it's got, and they will still, without fail,
no worries.
Say, no worries, bring it in, we'll have a look.
Sort it out.
This is the problem, we'll fix it for you.
Wow.
No questions asked, that's it.
It's amazing. I'm mildly speechless at that. That's
it's incredible.
I didn't realise that there was that sort of support to get people, because that's usually something that manufacturers shy away from. Like they
absolutely. I don't know any other one that has track warranty.
They don't want you flogging the guts out of their car. They're happy to show you that in the TV commercial or the YouTube clip where there's 14 cars. But no, go and drive the pants off it, and if anything goes wrong, we'll still take care of it for you.
Yeah. And I have heard horror stories of other brands where people have, they've been spotted, or a picture of their car's been spotted
absolutely, on the track.
Go,
and they're like, no, we won't touch this anymore.
No.
And proper, big dollar cars, where you get yourself in real trouble for those sorts of things. Wow.
Yep. And they're like, no, bring it in. There you go.
Let her rip.
Done. We'll fix it.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And I even have... because I don't get the i20 serviced at the dealership, because we're very specific on what we want done with that one. But every single time I went in to get the i30 service, they're always like, bring your i20 in. We really want to see it. We want to see the cage. And they love seeing what people do with their cars. They love seeing the modifications that people do, what they're doing with them. They're all for it. They love seeing it.
So you were clearly inspired by all of this, because you went, hang on, I've found my people.
I found my people for sure. I absolutely love it.
And you've gone all the way down the rabbit hole. So you went, so you sort of got along to a few of those events. And I mean, how did this continue?
Flogging it at the track.
Just that,
is how it continued, showing
going.
people what they're capable of and constantly developing the cars. And obviously the social media presence has a lot to do with it as well. So I've grown my social media from, the Twitch streaming, but then also from, when I owned the Volkswagen. I still own it, of course, but posting it all the time, showing people what these cars are capable of, or the modifications, and getting like I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I think I've had a fair few people buy these cars from me, you know, encouraging them and showing them what they are capable of.
Mate, you're convincing me just sitting here telling me you can get a bloody track warranty.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But that sort of started it. I'm trying to think of what to say here.
No, that's all right. But it's just trying to understand, because you've obviously you've taken a whole. I mean, this has become your whole life.
It is,
and this is the crazy thing, is that I'm sort of piecing this puzzle together for you, where, you know, you've gone from, you know, excited enthusiast, built a few of your own cars, gone racing, and then gone, how can I do this like sensibly but stupidly at the same time? And you've then found that in that I-30, and you've then found that community in the, you know, N-Performance family, I guess, is the best way to describe that. And then I guess through that, through what you do in your social media, and then obviously your Twitch streaming that we need to touch on, you've built a community, and you've accidentally put yourself in a position where you do have a bit of sway in that community, because not only do you talk about it and make videos and posts and all that sort of stuff, but you're actually out there on the forefront testing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You guys R&D stuff, and you make your own stuff.
Yep. When you say testing, vlogging. But yes, so that's another thing, is constantly trying to push for times, or better times at, you know, Queensland Raceway, Sydney Motorsport Park, as we've done recently. I believe Andrew in the Fastback has done a 141 at Sydney Motorsport, I believe. I did a, what was it? So when I first took the I-20 to World Time Attack, that was my first ever proper racing event that I competed in. So I took the I-20 to World Time Attack, and I think I did maybe like a 1 minute 52. So it wasn't, you know, anything to scream, you know, to the heavens about, but I was really proud of myself. And since then, it's just constantly been chipping at times and seeing what we can do, what we can improve on these cars, or what we can create to go faster. So we recently went back to Sydney Motorsport Park, and since then on the I-20, you know, we've done the lithium battery, we've done the catch can, the oil cooler, we've got shockworks coilovers, we've got the brakes, we've got the roll cage, we've got, you know, the whole shebang. And now I'm finally down to a 148. So it's just that constantly trying to improve, trying to find ways to go faster, but also show the community how you can do that. It's kind of, yeah.
Because what you've also got to probably do here is throw a bit of context in, because we've been talking about your I-30, but see, you've got this other little speedy car.
I tend to skip out.
Yeah, you've like totally glossed over the details of the fact
I do that a lot, yeah.
that you've got like a pretty special race car.
Yes.
So do you want to just rewind on that and tell me about this race car that you have procured?
Okay. I'll try. So the I-30, Nachos is what I call it, because I got a number plate on it, NACH05. So she's my Nachos. So I started off in Nachos, went to a couple of track events and that, but it was the daily driver. I didn't want to risk something bad happening to it. And
not with your track record.
No, definitely not. No. So then, so the I-30 was the only N-Performance that was available. And then they announced the I-20. And initially I was like, well, do I need one? Like the I-30 would 100% be a better car, right? You know, it's bigger, it's got a bigger engine, makes more power. Surely So we went and test drove the I-20. We went to a dealership, test drove it on the road, and I was like, nah, not. I actually wasn't a huge fan. But I think that was because it was on the road, it was, you know, daily conditions.
There's only so much you can do at 60 kilometres an hour.
And, well, you don't want to flog the car because it's not even running yet. So I believe then Andrew got an opportunity to drive one on the track. And that was when it was, you know, the potential of the I-20 was revealed. And we were both like, we need to get one of these. and they were $36,000. I'm like, you'd be stupid not to.
Madness.
Ridiculous. So went and got one, took it around the track, sub 60-second at Queensland Raceway. I'm like, it's a 1.6 front wheel drive, little pocket rocket, and
you're punching out
and
sub
it's
60
sub
seconds.
60s at Queensland Raceway.
Which is,
I'm like,
you know,
this
for
is
people
ridiculous.
listening that doesn't mean anything. That's proper fast.
Yep. So, and that was when I thought, I-30, nachos, it's going in. It's the daily driver for now. Still, obviously, you know, we'll take it to some track events and that, but the I-20 was the real deal. And it's such a well-balanced car as well. It's so capable. It is so much fun. And I was like, we're just going to develop this one for now. Like, this is it. So that's when, you know, as I said before, took it to World Time Attack Challenge. Me driving it this time. Sorry, Andrew, but, you know.
About time.
My time.
Yeah.
I was like, this is my time to shine. Thank you very much. So, yeah, went and took it to Sydney Motorsport and did the 152, started doing all the modifications on it, and here we are.
Because how many weeks out from Time Attack are we?
Please don't remind
I'm
me.
looking at my flights
I'm
at the
not ready.
moment.
I'm not ready.
Because we're started July. What do we got?
Yeah.
We've got July, August. We got
It's
just under
September
2
the 1st,
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just under 2 months out. But
I'm not ready.
I hear that the car's reasonably well developed.
It is.
It's pretty
No.
well squared away.
So we took it to World Time Attack, and even that, we were doing the roll cage the night before. We were still preparing the car the night. Well, that's tradition, right?
As is tradition.
It was the tradition with the Audi.
Don't
tradition
sleep
with
for
the
a month.
BMW.
Do nothing for 11
nothing.
months and then go, oh, God.
Procrastinate. Just procrastinate for a month and go, oh, shit, we need to leave. So Minnie was working on the roll cage. So we did the whole roll cage in-house at Elite Motorsport. And, yeah, I think I left Brisbane with the unpainted, like the cage was still hot. We had to put the cage in, you know, holding rags because it was still hot from the welding. So we put the cage in. I'm like, all right, let's fucking go. So we got the bucket seat in the car. We got the cage. And I'm like, gone. Because this is my first proper racing event. So I was shitting my pants. I was, you know, driving down to Sydney by myself in the I-20, noisy as hell. You know, we got the roll cage in the back, the bucket seat. My back was killing me, you know. I think I left at like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
So hang on, you didn't trailer it. You drove the bloody car.
It. I drove it down there while Andrew and Minnie were still up at the workshop preparing and doing their thing. So, yeah, all by myself overnight down to Sydney. I think I got there at maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I had 2 hours of sleep and then straight to the track for the driver's briefing. And I don't even know how I survived that weekend. And I was like, is this motorsport? Because
pretty much.
This is I don't know if I could, I want to sign up for this.
That's
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty savage.
But
wow.
I'd do it again. I would 100% do it again. Yeah. With like a little bit more sleep.
Yeah, well, mate, a lot more sleep and a trailer.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah.
The fact that we've done that now, the car is ready. Like, I've been to a couple of testing events at Sydney Motorsport since, and we go down there, you know, go around and it's fine.
And who's driving this year?
Me.
Ooh.
I'm driving again this year. So, so I did the 148 just recently during the night sprints at Sydney. So my goal is to smash that and hopefully get into the 147s, potentially 146s in this little 1.6 pocket rocket.
And which class do you run in? At
Club sprint.
In club sprint.
Yeah. So the goal is to eventually work my way up, get into a faster car and go, you know, open and, you know, keep going because that's the goal. I want to go fast.
So here's one for you. Main straight, Sydney Motorsport Park, into the left-hander, turn 1.
Yeah.
What are you holding? What's your pace through there in the Hyundai?
So on the straight, we're at, I think it's about 200, 210. I can't. I'm looking straight. I'm not.
Of course,
looking
you're not looking down.
down at my speed. But
You'd be checking the data logger
yeah.
afterwards.
So on the data logger, I think through turn 1, it's like 176, 180 or something like that, or more. But
So I was going to say, is there a blip? Are you lifting or are you holding it flat?
so when I get to the 100 mark, I try and just do a bit of a lift. sometimes when I'm trying to, I guess, settle the car, if it doesn't feel right, I'll have a bit on the brakes. But I'm trying my best to just full send through turn one. It is absolutely daunting going through there that fast.
Because have you got active aero on that car as well?
No. Well, I mean, it's got a little wing on the back. That's about it. There's nothing.
Yikes.
So, but it's fun. You can feel everything going through turn one.
Your whole world flashing before your eyes.
But I guess that's the good thing about Sydney Motorsport, though, is if you do go off at turn one, there's plenty of runoff.
Heap of runoff, but yeah, that's a full commitment.
Yeah, it's a full commitment corner, and I'm still working on it. But, I still get a lot of training from Andrew and others, and there's still like little parts of Sydney Motorsport that I need to work on. But turn one is the part that I look forward to the most at Sydney Motorsport.
Are you putting in the hours on the sim?
I haven't yet, no. That's my biggest downfall at the moment, and I keep getting my ass kicked by Andrew because I haven't been spending time on the sim. But, with work and all the Twitch streaming.
Sounds like
that,
excuses. What about your physical preparation?
Right.
Are you training? Are you, how are the neck muscles?
I literally had a meat pie and an energy drink before I walked in here, so definitely not.
You are, mate, I would like to say that you are definitely an Australian.
Yeah.
You've
meat
actually
pie,
now, you've
drink.
ticked the boxes.
I thought I would embrace the Australian culture and get the meat pie and the, it wasn't a V energy drink though, But no, I'm definitely not preparing that way, which I probably should be. Like if I wanted to, when I want to take it more seriously, which I do, I need to start really focusing on that.
Mate, body and mind.
Yeah. Watching, Checo in Formula One doing his neck exercises, and I'm like, holy shit.
It's one of the biggest things. I was chatting to Liam Talbot about it recently, and like his physical training far exceeds the track work that he does, and that is what has made him so much more powerful on track. And is that phenomenal strength and fitness.
Yeah, and I think because at the moment I've only been doing short stints here and there with World Time Attack and that, you're only on track for 15 to 20 minutes per session. And in that 15, 20, you do get a bit, sweaty. You got a bit of, the beads coming out of the helmet. But it's not at that point where it's, excruciating and you can really feel it. Like, obviously, at the end of the day, you're quite exhausted because you've gone out for, multiple sessions. But when I want to get into, say, endurance or production, that's when I really need to focus on the fitness aspect.
You got to start now then.
Absolutely.
So you need to make this commitment here.
100%.
That you're going to do these things.
No more meat pies.
No more meat pies. I'll set Ben Nothling on you.
Yeah. Don't go after me, Ben. No.
But that's really exciting because you've obviously got you got a big career ahead of you in all this. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind. So this year, that's the goal. So in Club Sprint, have you got a time that you're gunning for?
I'm hoping to get into the 146s.
146. And
if I can get into the 147s, I'm happy. 146s would be
that's the
me
goal.
Screaming at everyone in the pit bay going, holy shit, I did it.
That's the one. So 146.
Yeah. So Andrew's done a 146 in the I-20. So I need to get down to that level.
Absolutely.
I mean, fair play though. He is an absolute animal on the track, but why can't I be?
Correct. Why can't you be?
Exactly. I mean, I don't think I'd be as quick as I am today without him. That's
no,
for
absolutely. Sure. And he's provided, obviously, good guidance. He's pretty handy with a bit of setup and a bit of driver training. Yeah. And he's, I guess, helping to coach you along with that.
Absolutely.
But, you're the one putting the work in. You're the one that has
I'm the one that sets myself back as well. Because there's been times where, you'll go out and you'll get instruction and it comes back to the, don't tell me what to do. You sort of remember, oh, shit, because, been together that long,
you've got to be a sponge. Well, see, and that's the danger thing, isn't it? Because, you don't want to hear it in that light. You actually probably need another voice in your ear.
And he's actually raised that with me as well. So we've, tried to organise getting training with, other instructors. So, but everyone's different as well. Everyone drives their own way.
Of course.
So everyone has their own little techniques and, handy hints here and there. So it'll be really refreshing to go out with other people and
And just
get
learn.
that experience. Yeah,
Soak it all
go,
in.
go to Norwell, get some experience there, do some driver training events. That's how you do it. That's how you get better.
And it is. It's
As
the
they
seed
say,
time.
practice makes perfect.
Apparently.
Maybe not quite perfect.
No. Perfect practice makes perfect.
That's right.
That'll get you.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited about this because I'm super pumped. I'm going down to World Time Attack, and I've actually got my mechanic Sean's going to come with me as well.
Yeah.
And we're like, woo!
It's going to be huge.
And this feels like, because I've been talking to all these people that are going to World Time Attack, I feel like I'm like having the World Time Attack preview.
Oh.
And I'm like getting all pumped at everybody because I'm sort of learning all the stories coming in.
Yeah.
And with what you guys are doing, because and look, again, if you can't share stuff, and this is sort of being done with Hyundai as an influencer as well with your World Time Attack, or is this a crossover?
No, this is just
This is just you,
just us. Yeah, showing Hyundai what it's capable of. But Andrew's got the he probably told you about this when he was in the other day. So he's currently going to be behind the wheel of the N Fastback. So this was the Hyundai production, or their car that they developed over 5 years. And Daniel bought the Fastback, and Andrew is now driving the Fastback. And so that is his baby, and my baby is the i20. And I guess I don't really know where I'm going with this, but none of it was from Hyundai. So these are our own little adventures. Obviously, with the help of Hyundai, with the Fastback, of course, we wouldn't have been able to obtain the Fastback without Hyundai's help. But the i20, no, that's solely
That's all
us.
you. That's just you. That's out of your own pocket, doing it yourself.
That's it.
And see, that's even cooler. And because as I continue sort of putting this story together, just for my own, you're already invested. Like, you're fully invested in what they do, in their race program, and then you're out there doing it. Before we go any further into serious racing talk, we need to go back and talk computer games.
Oh.
And Twitch.
Yeah,
because we just glossed over this whole thing that you've been doing.
But that's what happens when you talk about cars, though.
Is Twitch about 3 years? I'm trying to remember how many years you've been.
2. It's just coming up 2 years now I've been on Twitch. So I guess for those that don't know what Twitch is, it's not, when you got a little twitch in your eye. So Twitch is a streaming platform. So you've got, huge gamers like Shroud and, not anymore, but, Dr. Disrespect used to be on Twitch. So there's really big names on Twitch. And it's where us gamers like to geek out and essentially share our gaming or experiences with the world. So people come in and watch you play games, or whatever it is that you get up to on Twitch. You can do real life streams where go camping, and but for me it's something I started out just under 2 years ago now. I was playing Battlefield 1. So I was really into my shooting games, loved playing Battlefield 1, and I was approached and said, why don't you stream this on Twitch, get people watching it. I was like, oh, no one's going to watch me play a game. Like, who does that? No way. And I looked into it and I thought, this looks quite interesting. It would essentially be like having company while you play games. Because, it can get kind of a bit lonely when you don't have anyone to play games with. So I set it up and, first thing was just this little square box in the corner, the camera pointing directly at me. There was no fancy stuff. It was just me, camera, the game, and people watching. And my first stream, it was great, because you've got friends and family that come in and support you and come and watch. And I was like, this is actually quite fun. Because even though you're in the room by yourself and there's just a camera pointing at you, you still feel like you have company.
Because it's live, isn't it? Like, people are chatting with you in real time.
So you got to make sure you're not picking your boogers and all that while you're live. But it's great because, they've got like a little Twitch chat box. So when you're playing the game, you can glance across and people are chatting with you and you engage with them. And it's like you're playing a game with your friends. Even if they're not like in the game with you, they're still with you. So it's nice to have the company, and it's nice to have people enjoy watching you, somehow manage to shoot someone from a huge distance in Battlefield 1, or, when you make these silly mistakes, it's just, you're bringing laughs, and it's friendship as well.
Friendship and entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
And see, this whole gaming world, so I'm like an old-fashioned gamer because I grew up, you know, with an Atari 2600, and then, you know, my youth and teenage years were just consoles. And I was doing like LAN gaming in the late 90s, early
LAN
00s.
parties.
Yeah, correct. Like I'd do LAN parties with my friends, and I
Yeah.
bought a 10-port Ethernet hub and taught myself how
my
to network.
gosh.
And so, but we'd all, like none of us had computers. So what you'd do is you'd pinch the family computer that, you know, would sit in the living room, and you'd pack the whole family computer in the car, drive to someone's house. We used to go to my mate Pete's house, and we'd set up there, and we'd set all these computers up, and I had to figure out how to network and make all the computers talk to each other, and then we'd play stuff. And, you know, then, you know, after that it was like, oh, well, got to go and do work and things.
Yeah.
And all that just fell off, and, you know, bought a few machines over the years. So I sort of missed, you know, I've really missed all of this, and I've come back into games recently through my son.
Yeah.
Because I actually have, and you saw it here when you walked in, I've got a 1997 Sega Rally 2 side-by-side arcade machine. I think my son was about 3 weeks old when he first... I've got a photo of him as like this teeny tiny baby on my lap, like holding the thing. And then we've got progressive photos of him. And like when he was in nappies, I've got a photo of him with an original NES console. And like it was just so cute because he thought it was, you know, it was really fun. And I thought, oh, well, that's a nice one to, you know, to sort of play with. And he just really enjoys games and gaming. And as he's gotten a little bit older, he said to me, he's like, Dad, you know, I want to be a YouTuber.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, God. And you know, my wife, his mum, is like, absolutely not. Like, there is no way that you are going on YouTube, mate. Like, absolutely not. Because, you know, again, we're not quite ready to expose a young bloke, you know, to some of the horrors of the internet. But, you know, the reason that I sort of went down this path was I was like, look, I've got to inform myself. I've got to learn all these things. And, you know, it was you that introduced me to Twitch because I was like, what is all this? And I did some Twitch streams with the motor racing stuff that I do just so that I could understand the platform and learn it. And I jumped on and watched yours because none of it made any sense to me.
And it won't,
as to why people would watch other people play games. And, like, that was just totally, the concept of that was totally alien to me.
Yeah.
But in my house, I share my house with YouTubers by the name of Presley and these sort of guys. Yeah. Because that's what my boy loves. He loves, you know, Minecraft and Mario Maker and all these games and Fortnite. And again, I looked at lots of these games. I'm like, what is this rubbish? What is this Fortnite crap? And then I sat down and he's like, no, Dad, give it a go. And I'm like, all right. And I had a go and I'm like, oh, man, I got the slap juice and now I got the thing. I'm going to like go and smash this guy. And I've become like fully obsessed in Fortnite. I'm like, we've got the Battle Pass now and the Victory Royale and doing the dance and I get the crown. And like, it's a really fun game. It's really fun. They're changing it all the time. And it was only watching and my boy, you know, encouraging me to try these things because he wants to play with me, and he's an only child, so you know I'm the other child in the household. So he and I play all the games together. So he's really shown me the way. But it's watching these streamers and what it does, because I watch him and I watch the behaviour and all this sort of stuff, and I watch him and he watches these guys, and they're always doing different things and trying new games, trying new experiments, and he'll learn something from that, and he'll then apply that in his own gaming. And you know he started. He's doing like Roblox stuff. But you know where you build it? You can actually, there's like a Roblox editor.
Or you can create your own.
Yeah, where you can make your own. That's what he does, is he, you know, I've set him up with a decent PC and he'll make his own stuff. And he's there like designing and I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like,
oh my God.
Holy hell. Because it's actually,
good, isn't it?
Yeah. And he, what's the one that what's the game engine that all the stuff's built on now?
Oh, it's not City Skylines.
No. My brain's going potato here.
Not Minecraft.
But whatever the game engine is, Unreal Engine.
Yep, that's the one.
Because about a year ago, and you know, remember this is a 7-year-old kid. He was like, "Dad, can I get Unreal Engine?" And I'm like, "Yeah, boy, I'll get it."
Is that a game?
And he downloaded it and like just starts playing around in that 3D space and putting shapes in there and all these sorts of things because he's been doing Mario Maker and that sort of stuff. And I'm there because he said to me, he's like, "I want to be a game designer," and then he's like, "I want to be a YouTuber," and he's like, just fully down this path. And I'm trying to educate myself to understand it. But see, I get it now. And even though it's not my thing, like I wouldn't sit there and watch YouTube streaming. I get it now.
Yep.
And I get the community and I get the education and I get, and you know, it's my 8-year-old boy that's taught me
He's smart.
all this stuff because he just loves it. You'll have to meet him actually. He'd be stoked to meet a real life, you know.
Is that a streamer?
A real life streamer. I'm like, oh, mate, he'd lose his mind.
Yeah.
But I get it now because I was one of those adults that was like, how? Why would people watch people play games?
I was the same when I heard about it. I'm like, why would anyone do that? And then I started doing it, and then I sometimes, you know, when I'm sitting in my office doing some work, I'll have a friend or someone up there on my monitor and I'll watch them and I'm like, and next thing you know, I find myself like really engaged, like in the chat, typing in there and talking to them. And I'm like, wow, like, is he going to go into the next room? Like what's going to happen next in the game? Like it's exciting. It's fun. But it's trying to explain it to people. I always just say to them, you know, you gotta do it. You gotta watch it to know exactly what we're talking about.
And a reasonable way to explain it is, you know, you sit there watching sport and yelling at the TV. It's actually not dissimilar to that, except you are engaged with the person playing in real time.
And we're responding to you as well.
Absolutely.
Engagement.
You're not just an outsider.
Yep.
You know,
you gotta make people feel welcome.
You're part of the process. And see, the thing that I've really admired in the work that you've done is you have been super dedicated to this, and I've really watched you build a community.
I absolutely love my community as well. I didn't expect my community to grow so quickly. I think I did have a bit of a leg up with the community that I already had when I started the streaming. So obviously really thankful that they've helped me build it. But I've just managed to hit, I think I'm close to 6,300 followers on Twitch in just under 2 years. And I've had so many people come up to me and say, you know, that's ridiculous. Like, we don't see people grow that quickly. And so I must be doing something right. But at the end of the day, the one thing I know I am doing is I'm enjoying myself. I'm getting in there, I'm playing a game, and I'm just sitting there chatting with my homies, my friends, my community. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day.
And that's what it has to be. And people can tell. Like, you know when stuff's not genuine because you don't put the effort into it. You wouldn't, like, what lunatic would work that hard for that long? Because, I mean, the hours, I mean, you were telling me about this the other day because when we set up our timing for this podcast,
don't do it in the morning.
No, not too early was the request.
Yeah.
And I laughed because, again, you know, with a small child, you know, my day starts around 4:30.
Yeah.
But you will run a stream from like 6 o'clock at night, 6 or 7 p.m., and you'll run that till like 2 o'clock in the morning. Is that right?
Yeah. So it depends on, I guess, the energy or the vibe of the stream as well. So, you know, there's some nights where I'll cut it short, I'm not feeling it, but there's some nights like last night, I did a stream from 7 p.m. till 1 o'clock in the morning because we were just getting so absorbed in what was happening. It was, you know, exciting, and then I looked at the time and I'm like,
You're
shit,
like, whoa,
it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like,
it's tomorrow.
I should probably get some sleep now. I've got to be up in the morning.
Yeah, I got stuff to do tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's, you know, why I said to you, I was like, please,
as
long as it's not stupid o'clock.
As long as it's not too early, because, see, I was hoping to have it a bit earlier so I could go out to Drift Playground this afternoon.
Did I ruin that for you?
You did, but I won't hold it against you because there's always another drift day. But I laughed because I was like, no, if I do that in the morning, then I'll be able to go and, you know, go and tip in the Falcon out at QR. But I'm always more than happy to shuffle my schedule around to make it a bit easier on the good people that are kind enough to come and talk to me. again, that's madness. Like that level
Yeah.
of commitment. And I mean, you think about the hours that you put into that. You said you've done that for 2 years, and my math's no good. But what's that? That's 6 hours, give or take.
Yeah, 6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8 hours.
Sometimes at the moment I'm doing it like sort of every second night, but when I first started,
Mate, you were doing it every
was
day.
every single day. I was, I'd spend the day going and doing debt collection, and I would rush home, and I would get home, do my face, throw my makeup on, and just sit right in front of the camera, press the button, and I'm like, boom,
You're on.
6 to 8 hours. So it's
How was it in the early days? So you sort of had, family and friends. How did people start finding you? Do you sort of know how that grew?
It's kind of hard with Twitch because the reach isn't there. Like a lot of people, you don't see Twitch advertisements on Facebook or anything like that. So it's really hard to get it out there.
Super niche.
Very. So it's just about networking on your social media platforms, and then obviously, if you've got the content, then people are going to talk about it. So a lot of people, it's about, with Twitch, there's raids. So at the end of your stream, you have the option to raid somebody. And that's taking all of the people that you have in your stream to another stream. So, it's you pick someone that could be playing the same game. It could be a friend. And then you raid across and you take everyone with you. And, it's like this big explosion. There's a raid going on and everyone's, following. And so my community will then follow the person that I've raided. And then it grows. So that person that I've raided may come back to my stream. They might raid me. So it's like taking your community to other communities and they do the same back, or, that's how you branch out on Twitch. That's a lot of my community have come from other communities. So that's one of the ways that you do it on Twitch. The other way is obviously with your Instagram and your other social media platforms. So every day if I'm streaming, I go, hey guys, I'm going live at 7 p.m. Here's the link, share it around, or we'll do something exciting. We do giveaways, all that stuff, and just any sort of means to get people in to watch and have fun. But it's mostly the social media platforms that you got to sort of
It's hard grind.
It's difficult.
That's real hard grind because there's no algorithm to throw
There's
it in front of
nothing.
people. There's no. Wow.
Yeah, it's all on you. If you want your Twitch community to grow.
How does Twitch
you have to do
monetize? I don't actually know.
So,
how do they make their money?
I do get that question a lot. They say, do people pay to watch you? And I say, well, people don't necessarily pay to watch me. You can watch me for free. So, you hit the link, but you will get advertisements. So, as most companies have advertisements to make money, there will be advertisements here and there in the middle of my stream. It can be quite frustrating for people. They're like, oh, I've just been hit with ads and, this was about to happen. So people can subscribe. So I believe Twitch is, I think it's $7 or $8 per month for a subscription. You've got like tier 1, 2, and 3.
And then you get your ad-free experience.
You get ad-free. As soon as you subscribe, you get rid of the ads.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that's the first thing.
So
but
that's sort of how they monetize their platform. Because do you pay as a streamer? There's no cost to you to use the platform?
Don't need to subscribe to the platform or anything like that. Because Twitch, they make their money from the take from the subscriptions and that. So there's like a 50-50 split or 7. I think it was like 70.
So they get a clip on the way through. So
and then the advertisements as well, obviously.
On
so,
top.
That's one way.
You'd think they'd really work harder to get bigger communities going. It actually seems kind of confusing.
It is a bit. With the subscriptions as well, you obviously have to entice people to subscribe with rewards. So I've got custom emotes that you can use in the chat. So I've got like these little chibi versions of me with me eating ramen or with a bubble tea in my hand, like these funny little emotes. So you get like perks with the subscription. So you get no ads. You've got these cool little emotes. You've got like a badge in my Discord channel, and it supports me. So that's the one way to make money on Twitch. But then there's also donations. People can choose if they want to donate to you. You can set up your own little donation goals. So one time I had a goal, and this one was absolutely mind-blowing for me. Like I never thought this would happen in my life. I had a goal to save up money to fly back to England. So back in 2018, I lost my granddad, right? And I haven't been back to the UK since. So my main goal was to be able to afford a ticket just to fly back so I could obviously, go and visit and see my family again. And I made a goal on my Twitch stream. And I hate asking people for money. So for me, it didn't feel right. But I had people saying, just set up a goal. Worst thing, no one donates. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I can still save up the money. So I had a goal for, I think it was $3,500 because plane tickets to the UK are not cheap.
No.
So I was like, I'll throw it up there, see what happens. Next thing you know, people are donating. And I was like, holy shit. Like, what did I do to deserve this? And, I had a whopping donation from a frequent, lovely friend called Salty Snail. Huge donation, over $2,000. So there's people out there that I genuinely did not know existed. So I was very overwhelmed. I didn't know that would ever happen in my entire life. So that is another way to make money. But obviously that specific donation is for my plane tickets. So there are obviously, people can donate if they just feel like donating or, if they want to support the stream. But yeah, there's donation goals and there's also bits. I don't know if you've heard of bits. So you can set up sort of like rewards or interactions on your stream. So there's sound alerts. So I've got a whole bunch of sounds that you can play on the stream if you buy the bits for it. So I think one of them's like, there'll be like sound effects, like farting sound effects for 50 bits or stuff like that.
I was going to say, I was hoping there'd be a fart.
There always has to be a fart. There's, I don't know if you've ever seen that Jimmy Barnes screaming. Do you ever see the one of him he's like screaming on the mountaintop? Anyway, so people can sort of buy bits and redeem them and make sounds and play songs and
do
stuff
stupid
like that.
stuff.
Do really
just
silly
just
things.
For comedy.
Yeah. So there's a whole heap of avenues that you can take on Twitch to make money. So there's sound alerts. There's things where people can mess with your gameplay depending on what game you're playing. There's heaps. So that's essentially how you make your money on Twitch. So and then obviously trying to keep people coming back with their subscriptions and resubscribing. So
it's hard work.
It is.
It is hard work.
People can also gift subscriptions as well. So we do these things occasionally called subathons. And I don't know if you've seen, but sometimes you can have an uncapped subathon, which is you have a timer. And if someone gifts it, it's up to you what the time can be. So if someone, say, gifts a subscription, it adds, say, 2 minutes to the timer. And if you've uncapped it and someone comes in and, throws in 50 gifted subscriptions, you're just constantly adding endless time. So you're going to be Twitch streaming for days. I think there was a record where it went for months.
Somebody did
months.
That, really?
Yeah.
And just kept it rolling.
Kept it rolling. So I've never done an uncapped one.
So they'd catch you snoring and you'd be there.
Yeah, they just do sleeping. They sleep on their streams. I'm not
I don't need anyone to see that.
No. I definitely don't think I want someone to see me sleeping,
Nah,
All they'd have is a video of, my cat constantly walking over my head trying to cuddle up to me.
Oh, absolutely. My dog crawled up on my shoulder and then dropped his guts the other night. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah. So the subathons are another way. So it's just trying to keep the community or keep people coming back. And
it's entertainment.
And that's where you have to make your content good.
Yeah.
That's it. No one's going to come back if you're sitting there not talking to people, just minding your own business.
No,
you have to engage.
You've got to get into it. You've got to engage.
You do. Which means
you've got to love it.
You've got to make people feel welcome. And that is the main thing. You have to enjoy it. If you do not enjoy streaming, you won't make it. That's why
did you enjoy it out of the gates? Did you find it weird or did you...
I found it weird. I found it was bizarre being in a room by myself, but...
Like talking to people.
Yeah, but then it kind of came natural because I talk to myself a lot. No.
So that helps. You're never in the room alone when you have two personalities.
Yeah. I'm sure we've all looked in the mirror and sort of said something to ourselves here and there. But no, it sort of feels natural. Sometimes I do find myself in a bit of a space where I'm like quiet. But then if you ever find yourself in that situation, then you just say, hey, look, guys, I'm not feeling it. We'll call it a night. You have to be in the right headspace for it. Like, don't start a stream if you're not feeling it.
No.
Because no one else will feel it. They'll know. You can sense it when someone's not in the right headspace.
I've even found that with the podcasting stuff. If, like, I make sure that it, like, before I do a podcast, I've got to get myself into the space, do the tech. But then you've also, because you've got to bring an energy
and if it's not there
to the room. And if you don't have that, and, part of this process is, making your guest feel comfortable and making...
Like these bottles of water.
Like the bottles of water. There's always a fresh bottle of
never
water.
drink water, but...
No, absolutely. And letting people know that, bathroom breaks are, available.
Yep.
So that you're not sitting here with your legs crossed going... But there's a... And my brother said this to me. He said, because he listens to them. He's my brother Tim, who's also my business partner. He gives me feedback on these. He's he's my number one champ. He listens to everything I do and then goes, right, have a think about this. And that was something that he said to me on one of my streams. And I remember it was one that I did when I was quite tired. And he said, I looked at my watch at 15 minutes and went, oh God, I can't believe it's only been 15 minutes. It's got like another hour to go. And I'm like, holy crap, I don't ever want anybody to be listening to something that I've made and have that emotion.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about that when I was recording in that moment. Like, I was still having a conversation and we're talking.
Yeah.
And I didn't fathom that you've got to prep for it. The same way I'm talking to you about your race car preparation and, and your personal preparation.
Yeah.
You've got to have slept well and had your breakfast and done your workout.
My
and
meat
make
pie
sure,
and my energy drink.
Mate, smash a meat pie and have a...
Yeah.
But there's an energy you got to bring to these things because people feed off that.
Yep.
And you would have that exact same experience, I have to imagine, when you're in your stream, that if you're on, like if you just had a banging day, you're feeling good, like it'll just sing.
Take off, yeah.
Whereas if you're like just shattered and you haven't slept well and you've had a shitty day and maybe some people were not very nice or whatever happened, it's the vibe.
Yep. And that will be the vibe that you have for the rest of the night. And that's why if there's a day where, I'm working and I get home and I've got a bit of a headache or I've just, we're just not feeling it.
Yeah, you're just
I
not
will just
on.
say, no, I'm not going to start, I'm not going to press that stream button and bring 50%. Like every single time I stream, I want to bring a lot more than that. It's got to be 100%.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I have done like a bit of a chill stream. I haven't been super feeling it, and they've been okay. I just said, look, everyone just come and hang out, come and chill out. It doesn't have to be energy through the roof. But I won't stream if I'm just not feeling it entirely because it's not fun. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for the people watching. So it's always best to bring your A game.
Well, that's the thing because you're creating a show.
Exactly. It's like a show, yeah.
It is a show, and this is the thing that, as you get into, making media yourself, because, we live in such an absurd time where, when I was a young person, like all of this is unfathomable.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing here. The fact that I can basically have a broadcast studio and build one, in the back of my office and make like broadcast quality stuff bends my brain. Because we just live in this time where that if you want to do these things, you just can. Mm-hmm. But then there are lessons that need to be learnt that you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard thing. And this is, I guess, the journey that I've watched for you as well, is watching you sharpen your craft.
Yeah.
Because I see it in, you post an image with, saying, right, we're on and here's the thing. And I can see that you're building a real recipe of how you deliver that content as a creator yourself.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, the content, I don't know if you've seen it, but we've dived into the world of GTA roleplay. Have you seen
And see,
that?
I haven't, because I don't even understand what you're talking about.
No.
So what on earth is
People
GTA roleplay? I don't even know
listen
what
to
you're
me
talking
and they
about.
go, oh, that sounds cringe. So a bit of an explanation is,
Please.
GTA 5.
Hell yeah.
So GTA 5, super fun game.
Yeah, great game.
Old game now, 10 years old.
Is it? Wow.
10 years old.
Ooh.
So there's a modded version called 5M. Same with Red Dead Redemption, there's a Red M. So it's essentially you can make a server from GTA, but it's modified to be role played in. So I'm not good with like technical terms or anything like that. I don't know like how they do it. But at the moment I'm currently in a server that's based in Melbourne, right? And they have Victoria Police. They've got Ambulance Victoria. They've got Country Fire Authority. And I mean, like, the vehicles, the police vehicles, everything matches to a T. You've got your Kia Sorrentos going around with the Victoria Police liveries on them. You've got your critical incident response teams. That everything is to the finest detail. So I have a character in the game, and her name is Jane Hathaway. Don't ask me how I got the name. Anyway, So she's a police officer. She's a team manager at Ambulance Victoria. She's a firefighter. So she's got all of these roles. And like there's consequences if you know, like real life. So if I just can't go up and randomly shoot someone because I'm going to go to prison for it. You know, I'll get caught, go to prison, I'll lose all my jobs. So it's essentially another life in a game. It's really weird. A lot of people sort of think, well, that's like, how do you get into that? Or that's just like, why would you want to do that? And I can understand it. It's like, you know, life at the moment is a struggle to juggle, and it's, why would you want to take on another responsibility? And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, we do have to think that it is a game, and you can turn it off.
Correct. It's for fun.
It is all for fun. But that's essentially what GTA roleplay is.
Wow.
So it's very detailed, you know. I have to, if I arrest someone in the game, I read them their rights. You know, I'm like, you do not have to say or do anything you do. Yeah, I have to read all that.
Wow.
Yeah, there's rules on chasing people in police cars, everything.
That's super intense. So it's not like GTA where you'd like just go and like
oh, no,
blow
you know,
stuff up. And
there's rules. Like, so if I go up and I like randomly shoot someone, I'll get kicked out of the server because you don't just walk up to someone and randomly shoot them. So there's rules here and there, and then there's obviously the rules in the city, as they call it. So.
And does it actually look like Melbourne, or does it still look like GTA? Because
So
I was hoping that you could like lap Chapel Street.
Oh, that would be insane.
That'd be wicked.
No, so it's still obviously based off the GTA map.
Yeah, I was hoping that somebody had gone that far, and like
imagine.
If it had the grid of
just
Melbourne
rolling
in there
up to Mount Dandenong, you know, in your police car. No, so it's still the GTA map, but you obviously refer to it as Melbourne Airport and stuff like that. So.
That's really cool.
It's fun. It's really fun.
But it's different too, because, you know, once you've played a game for X number of months, there's only sort of so far you can take most things.
Yeah.
And so it would be fun.
That's when you create different characters.
Yeah. To be a newbie again, I guess. And and
people do come and go.
Different.
So you'll find that people go to different servers to, you know, get a refresh because, you know, everyone knows who you are in that city and it's getting repetitive, or, you know, go try another game. But it's definitely the thing that I'm focusing on at the moment in my Twitch streaming, and it's like a TV show, you know, like, you know, you're watching like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, you're keeping up with Jane Hathaway. Everyone is like sitting there thinking, what's going to happen to her today? Like, she got kidnapped the other day and she got held at gunpoint. Like, oh my God, like, what's going to happen? Is she going to get shot?
So is that what you were playing on the stream last night?
Yep.
So what happened to Jane last night? Tell me your story.
Last night was intense. So there was a shipment that came in, but Victoria Police was only told about this, like, you know, last minute. So we had to get a whole bunch of, you know, critical incident response team units ready. You know, we got our big bullpup rifles and we had to come up with a plan. So the tip-off was that there was a shipment coming in from the south end of the city between these certain criminal organizations involved. So we had like all these teams rolling around the city and their cert rangers and it was, so, and we're all on the radios like communicating like, oh, there's a white and colour Chrysler coming up on my rear, this is the registration, this is a known part of this criminal organization. Like, it's really intense. And anyway, at the end of it, we ended up getting absolutely steamrolled by these criminals. We got ambushed, and, you know, Jane got shot and all that. So, but
she had a rough night.
She got fucked up. She got shot in the, you know, left, right, and center. So it was a fun night. Like, you know, the Victoria Police took an L, and the criminals, you know, got away. But it's fun. It's role play. Anything can happen. So that was just one night of Jane's life. But if there's a night that I'm not feeling like, you know, doing a police night or, you know, ambulance, I've got a criminal character. So you got, you know, other character slots. So I've got Agnes. She's a lovely old lady. She's from, where is she? She's from Cambridge. She's flown over from Cambridge, and she's very old. And she talks like this. So she's a criminal. And
so you've developed a character with a backstory for this game.
Absolutely, yeah. So you can do different accents. You can... you can just have fun with it. You can have all of the fun with it. So she's a bit of a, you know, a mischievous old lady. And she rolls around with another really good streamer friend of mine called Pepe. So Pepe the Rarest, he plays an old man called Jartha Mowberry. And whenever Agnes and Jartha are together, oh, it goes down. It's an absolute chaotic night when they're together. So she's got this, you know, very posh English accent. She's mischievous, and I've got a couple of other characters, but those are the main two that people
They're your
absolutely
favourites.
love. Yeah, Agnes is a hoot, as they would say. But I absolutely love doing impressions and stuff like that. It's just fun to just pretend to be someone else for a bit.
Yeah, just to
switch
drive the
off.
character and just because look, as fun as adulting is, most of it's actually hard work.
It is.
And it's part of why I enjoy all the stupidity that I entertain myself with is, I love that part of my life. I love the grown-up part. But learning to not take myself so seriously has been one of the very best things that I've done.
Yeah.
And realising that you don't have to be serious all the time and that there's a lot of joy in just being silly and just having fun.
I've definitely learnt that myself as well in even just playing that role-playing game. Like I've actually learnt a lot to just chill out, because most of my time I spend quite serious. With debt collection, you have to be
bloody serious.
You have to be serious.
That's people's lives. It's their whole financial.
And you can get into some really hairy situations with it as well. So to be able to switch off and pretend to be Agnes and do some silly things is really refreshing, and it's a good way to draw a line from serious world to make believe fun stuff.
And see, that actually makes a lot of sense because you can sort of compartmentalize. So rather than going home and as many people would go, thinking about the horrible things you've had to deal with and some of the traumatic experiences, and maybe washing those down with a few shandies. Instead you've got this whole character world where you can sort of close that door of the day and go, okay, that's work, but this is my time. This is an adventure. This is fun. It's hanging with my friends, and it's just getting a bit crazy.
It's good.
It all makes sense to me now.
It's fun, and a lot of people have jumped in. So a lot of my Twitch community have jumped into the server that I'm playing in. And they're like, this is amazing. This is so much fun. And they've made friends. And it's a good way to switch off. So,
because I must say, I'd seen you posting about that. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Who the hell's Jane Hathaway? What are you talking about? Ambulances and stuff.
Like role play GTA. And I'm like, I've played GTA. And I run people over and steal helicopters and crash into a building.
Entirely
and I'm
different.
like, I'm so confused. I didn't understand. But see, now
you know.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
And this is the joy. I love learning. I actually really love just learning about super niche stuff, and because there's always a whole world within every teeny tiny little niche of interest. There's this whole other world that unfolds, and I think it's so cool. The communities in and around that, and how the rules and how it works.
Yeah, I never thought I'd see myself doing it, but I'm having fun. It's definitely refreshing when you have to, deal with, a nice way to put this is interesting people on the daily. Characters is, with the debt collection stuff. So there's some stories there.
Oh, look, I know there's some stories there. And honestly, we could open that door, but
it won't shut.
That's the funny thing is that part of your world, that's kind of your job. That's the thing that you do that helps pay the bills.
100%.
But I guess the part of your life that I'm sort of most interested in sort of talking is the part that you've been trying to unfold.
Yeah.
Because you and I caught up, and I can't remember the timing, but when you were sort of looking at really trying to take this a bit more seriously and going, how do I get further into the into the motorsport side. And to watch you have taken leaps and bounds into that arena to the point where now, you're going to Goodwood.
Yeah, going to fucking Goodwood.
You're going to Goodwood?
Going to Goodwood.
I'm so jealous.
I just never... The night I got the email, I was sitting in bed and I opened up my Gmail and I saw Hyundai N Korea, and I was like, oh, because I had already known something was going on, because it was essentially teed up by Daniel and Andrew have, really been pushing this. They've this wouldn't have happened without them. No way. So I'm sitting there expecting something to happen with Hyundai N this year or something at least. I was like, oh, maybe, you know, I'll be their little presenter at the N Festival, something really nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that'd be nice, you know, just, you know, going around chatting to people. And then to sit there, open up my emails and see an invite to the Goodwood Festival of Speed. I was the first thing I picked up my phone, I was like, oh my God, you know, is this what I'm seeing?
Yeah,
like,
is this real?
Is this just fantasy? It's just, I had no idea that was going to happen. So it's unreal. And I'm sure next time we'll be talking, I'll be telling you all about Goodwood and everything that I've been seeing. Like obviously the one thing I want to see is I'm going to be on the hunt for a Jaguar XJ 220.
Yeah, boy.
My dream car, and I know for sure there's going to be one at Goodwood.
I feel like we're the XJ 220 fan club. I keep getting people in here, and we're like,
you and Daniel Sharp.
Mate, Sharpie's all over it. Rory's all over it. We're like,
I love them.
They're the
Absolutely.
greatest.
I had one as a little toy car growing up. I'm like, this is my favorite car.
This is the best car ever made.
Got nerfed, but you know, it's still an icon.
And see, I'll have to hook you up with my dude Michael Lyons, who's over there, who's got a couple of historic F1 cars, because I think he'll be there. So you'll have to go and meet him.
Oh yeah,
because he's got a Maloo as well.
Oh, wait, over there?
Yeah.
You got a Maloo in the UK?
Boy.
Wow.
Yeah, 700 horsepower Maloo.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I'll have to make sure I'll hook that up after the show. So when do you actually leave? When do you go to Goodwood?
Tuesday.
What?
Yeah.
Like in a week?
It's approaching real fast. Yeah, 6 days.
Hang on, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Holy
I
bananas.
haven't even prepared. No, I am.
What do you have to do?
I don't
Is it
even
like
know.
like have you got instructions? Like how does this work? How does it work as an influencer?
There's obviously, you know, expectations. So I need to go and do more events. So whenever there's a Hyundai meet in Australia or Brisbane, because I am the influencer, I need to make sure I'm going up to people and, you know, asking questions, getting, you know, footage of their car. They want footage.
Yeah.
So giving them footage and just so that they can obviously broadcast it to the rest of the world is the main goal. So my goal is to go, hey, look at what Australia has to offer. Look how cool our enthusiasts are.
Look how wicked our scene is.
Yeah, we can do it so much better than the rest of the world. We are the best. Yeah. So that's my goal for the year. And obviously with the N Festival in Sydney in December, it's all hands on deck for that. So we'll go to Goodwood, get absolute best content that we can, unveil the Ioniq, which is going to be incredible. I believe they'll have other cars there as well doing, you know, the traditional hill climb. So that is, yeah, that's good. That's Goodwood for me is... I don't even know what I'm going to be doing. I've never been. I don't know what to expect. I have no idea.
That is
I'm not even prepared. I haven't even have a list or anything like that. I haven't even packed my clothes. I'm just
winging it.
Winging it. Just do what I do at World Time Attack. And
you got to take your race suit?
Don't think so. I don't think it's going to be needed, but it would be kind of cool. It would take up so much room in my suitcase.
Yeah, it would be. You'd be like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
If you need me to drive.
Oh, you know, if you need me to just jump in.
Just this whole thing?
Look, I'm here. Like, I've conveniently brought my race suit and my helmet and my gloves and my shoes.
Like, I'm not mucking around.
Yeah.
Actually, that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah. Just tuck it right at the bottom of the suitcase. Oh, you can get those vacuum pack things. So
yeah, vacuum pack.
Yeah, there you go.
Send it over there.
Oh, what a coincidence! I must have left my race suit in my suitcase.
You could just express air freight it and just like shoot it over to the hotel.
Yeah. Like, oh look what arrived. Was this from you guys?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this whole thing.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I'm obviously very nervous.
I can't believe you're going in like a couple of
less than a week.
And how long are you over there for?
Originally it was meant to be just for Goodwood, but Hyundai have been really amazing and have allowed me to extend my trip a week so I can go and see my family. So it was from the 12th, so I land on the 12th, and originally I was meant to come back on the 17th. So I don't have any time to get over any potential jet lag that's coming my way. But I emailed them and I said, hey, look, you know, I've got family over there. It's going to be my grand's birthday. It's also my granddad's birthday as well, so I really appreciate it if I could potentially get an extra week. I can pay any differences, anything like that. And yeah, they were all on board with it. Absolutely. So extended it for a week. So I'll come back on the 24th. So I'll do my Goodwood stint and then I'll go up to the good old Herefordshire and I'll go and visit my family members and
have the fish and chips.
Yeah. I've also had a good chat with Mark, Griffith, and hopefully we'll be going to the Ginetta factory as well. That's going to be exciting. But that's all the way up north. They're in bloody Leeds.
Yeah, but
right
like
on the north side.
mate, UK is like 5 hours from one end to the
Yeah,
other.
it's just down the
It's
road.
just not that big.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's not like driving from Cairns to Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, I'm so used to driving Brisbane to Sydney.
Exactly.
It's
It's just not that far.
anything under 4 hours to me is like, no.
Oh,
nothing.
absolutely.
Nothing
Like
at all.
I get a touch tired at 6 hours, but like it's just
Yeah.
not that. You know, once you've done that Brisbane to Sydney Motorsport Park
Yeah.
drive 20 times,
But in the UK, they've actually got proper speed limits. They actually go fast. So you get there a lot quicker in the UK.
and that helps.
It
That's-
does, you know.
oh,
You're
mate.
not sitting there dawdling at 100 kilometres an hour, you know.
Mate, when you're punching $2.60 up the autobahn, you're
Oh,
like,
yeah,
why don't we have this at home?
I know.
Like,
That's a dream. 2 in 100 is just, you see why people fall asleep.
oh, it's so slow. It's so boring. Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
tell you what, when you're, it's like my favourite thing in the world when you're in the far left lane in the full noise lane,
So good.
and you just hit your flashes, you just hit your high beams,
Yep.
and you just pump if you're coming up on someone because
Yep.
your approach
And they just
speed's so
move.
mad, and they just move.
Yeah.
Not like here in
It's
Australia where you ball up on
horrible
somebody
over here.
and they just block you.
There's, I think as my dad called it, there's a bit of an inferiority complex, is the way he described it. Was, because I noticed it. I've been back to the UK and driven there when I was I think I was about 20, and it was so different. It was people. So the limit on the motorways over there is 70 miles an hour. That's not a limit. People will fly past you doing 80, 90 miles an hour. There's cop cars that were flying past me, and it was beautiful. Everyone was filtering properly, keeping left, and you flash at someone, they won't get offended by
No,
it.
they're
They'll
not
go,
offended.
Oh shit, sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Way.
You want to go
Yep.
quicker? I don't want to go as quick.
Yep. Toodle
And,
pip, off
and
you
my
go.
other favourite one is the trucks have their own lane.
Yep.
And the
they're
trucks
limited.
have to stay in their own lane.
Yeah.
And so they can't just jam all 3 lanes across.
I know.
And you get pinged for filling the fast lane. If you're not
Yeah.
going fast in the
And the
fast
middle
lane,
lane as well.
you get stung.
This is something I've tried explaining to people so often, is middle lane hogging, right? This is one of my pet peeves. People think I'm being a bit nitpicky on it, but it's a way that you can make the motorways so much smoother. Is you'll see it a lot here on the Pacific Motorway in the 4 lanes. Everyone sits in the 3rd lane. I'm like, why are you sitting in that lane when there's one next to you that you can just be sitting in at the same speed? There's people passing you in that lane. Why can't you just go and sit in that one? Or even the far left lane? And you get the typical excuses of, people merging. And I'm like, well, if they're merging at different speed or get quicker than you, why do you have to worry? They're going to filter in front of you behind. Worst case scenario, move across a lane, move back across. I think it ultimately comes back down to a bit of laziness.
And I also think that we've never seen how magical it is. There's so
Yeah.
many Aussies that have never seen how magical a motorway is that works,
Yeah.
where people just follow the rules. Mm-hmm. And it's incredible. The first time I ever saw
Yeah.
it, I'm like,
But the issue you have over here as well is that they're so big on speed.
yeah, we're
They're
so
like,
heavily
every
policed.
K over is a killer. I'm like, it's absolutely not the case. It's fatigue. It's distracted while driving. It's, you'll actually find that it's those things that are the biggest contributions to fatalities.
Absolutely.
On the road,
And
not speed.
Look, we all know it's revenue raising. Like,
100%.
there's no, when you get pinged for 62 down a hill in a 60 zone,
And you get the letter
and
like
you
2
get
weeks
a
later.
$300 fine, and you're like, oh, great,
I'm
saving
going to
lives.
keep doing it.
And look, I understand that. I understand the pitch, and I understand the sell, and I understand why they're doing it. And look, I've got no beef, but
Yep.
it doesn't, just call it revenue raising.
Yeah. Call
Don't
it what it
tell
is.
us
Yeah.
that you're helping. If you were helping, there'd be compulsory advanced driver training.
Exactly.
You would learn how to change lanes, brake, understeer,
Mm-hmm.
oversteer. Like that would be saving lives.
100%.
Teach people how to drive better
Yep.
would save lives.
Yep. Teach people to keep out of the middle lane.
Teach people to keep out of the middle lane. Teach people to keep out of the fast lane.
Just keep left.
Keep left.
But you
and
have-
less overtaking. The
I've
end.
had this argument with people before, and I know the rule here is, I believe it's 90 kilometers an hour and above on dual lane roads is when you have to keep left. I'm like, even if that's the rule, if you're on a 60 kilometer hour dual carriageway and you're in the right lane because you have the mentality of, oh, well, it's below 90, I can sit here.
I should be here.
You are part of the
You're
problem.
a dick.
Yeah, you're a dick. Move left. What's...
Yeah, get out of the way.
What's the issue?
And if somebody's pinning up at you, going quicker, even if they're being naughty, get out of the way.
Yeah, let them...
Just let them pass.
Yeah, let the police deal
Because
with
if there's
them
something that also really grinds my gears, from having just done an 8,000 kilometre trip from Queensland to Tassie,
Oof.
Victoria, Broken Hill, all the way back, every idiot who will do 98 in a 100 zone, then you get to an overtaking
And they
zone and they do
speed up.
107 because, I'm driving a 35-year-old Land Cruiser and
Yeah.
it doesn't, it needs a run-up and a tailwind to overtake.
Yeah.
And these fucking morons will sit there slowing you down because I can't overtake. I can't power overtake in that car.
And then you have to sit behind them again.
And then you got to sit behind them again. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you that your brain function is so incapacitated that you can't just let me go past?
I don't get it. And yeah, I get that a lot as well when, because I do a lot of road trips, again, down Brisbane, Sydney, but then rural stuff as well with the work. See it all the time. And even truck drivers get frustrated because they'll be sitting behind someone, say, in a caravan or something, and then the dual lane comes up and
they've got the same problem because the trucks are the same as the dirty old Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Is they've
got to get that run up.
they got to get the run up, and so they got to be hauling
Yeah.
to get that overtake right, and then they speed up. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, where did we get this so wrong that people think that it's suddenly a race in the overtaking lane? And this is, I think that we are, broadly speaking, terrible drivers here compared to, and the only example you need is watch when an ambulance goes past and people's brains melt trying to figure out how to get out of the way. Whereas you watch that in Europe, UK, and they just all do this beautiful little concertina where it all just goes out of the way.
Yeah.
But we can't put two and two together here because nobody's been taught, and none of the money that goes from revenue raising goes into genuine training.
Well, that was the other thing that I'm sure you know Andrew Harper, of course.
Maybe not.
No, so he's currently doing like a driver training event with Queensland Police at Norwell, where they're teaching learner drivers to pull over for emergency, for police, ambulances. So they're teaching the proper procedures, what to do when you get pulled over by the police and all that. I'm like, that's fantastic. That is what we need.
Absolutely.
We need more of it. Even for drivers that aren't learners, people that, come from other countries that aren't familiar with our road rules.
Absolutely. You should have to go through this. And this is the funny thing. I'm not anti-policing. I'm pro-policing.
Yeah.
And mate, I take my hat off to the men and women that do that work because it's a shitty job.
It is.
And, you're not exactly making people's day.
No.
And, they get abused and all sorts of horrible things. And they're just people too.
Yep. They go home to their families.
Absolutely, this is the thing is I think that it's wonderful what they do, but I think that there are decisions being made over their head that they then have to enforce that actually are not for the greater good, and I think that that's a real shame because I remember, there've been some really strong, police community activation things over the year. There was Operation Drag, if you remember that one, where they had, the police drag car. And I think that those sorts of things are really wonderful. Whereas, I've got genuine fear of taking, a car to Queensland Raceway and then being defected outside of it. Yeah. And it's like I'm literally trying to do the right thing. Yeah. And if I've made a mistake, no worries, I'll cop it on the chin, I'll pay the bill, whatever. Yeah. But that is a genuine fear that I have of taking something there and then getting pinged for something else because I've seen people even getting pinged with cars on trailers and the car on the trailer has been pinged. And you're like,
it's on a trailer.
It's on a trailer.
It's not being used.
So I'm having these thoughts going, I better take my number plates off, put it on a trailer, and I wish I didn't have to think that way because I want to do motorsport. I want to do it in the right way. I don't want to be naughty. I want to do it at the track. I want to pay for it. I want to do all the right things.
Yeah.
But I still fear being victimised.
Yeah.
As a hoon. It's like, mate, I'm too old to be a hoon.
Despite the fact that we spend stupid amounts of money on upgraded parts as well. So we'll spend so much money on, getting new brakes, new suspension, everything. We keep our cars up to spec.
The cars are very well
They'll
looked
turn an
after.
Absolute blind eye to Shazza driving her VP Commodore with 5 rust holes in the door while she
Absolutely.
smokes a dory with her kids in the back.
And I'm right there with you on that argument. Yep, absolutely. And unregisterable shitboxes.
Yeah.
That, again, are overlooked. And that, I think, is just a sad reflection on the fact that, when the political climate requires, you can just push the hoon button.
Yep.
When there's other things going on that should probably be dealt with that are far more important, rather than worrying about that, you push the hoon button and you direct the hysteria over there.
I find that the leniency has disappeared. I find that because everyone has to be by the book, or because, everything's so recorded now, it's like, I have to give you this fine because, if I don't give you this fine, then I'm going to get in trouble. Or I don't know exactly how it works, but I just find that you can't reason as much.
No. And there's news legislation that has passed recently where if you film somebody doing something dumb and then put it on the internet, you too can be charged.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me just go through my phone and delete some video.
Mate. and because, if you're filming at, your Cars and Coffee or something and someone does a naughty and gives it a bit of power on the way out.
Would it be classed as sort of like a peer pressure thing? Or
that's hooning. And that's the thing. What you are doing is you are then promoting hooning.
Encouraging it.
And there's a rational part of me that says, absolutely, that's correct. That is not supposed to happen, and that shouldn't be happening.
But the responsibility falls back on the person that has their foot on the pedal.
The person with the foot on the pedal is the one that deserves the slap over the wrist.
They're in control of the vehicle. They make that decision.
I drove out of Cars and Coffee. I went on Saturday morning and I went on a motorbike just so that I could get a park when I rocked up slightly late. And I drove out, and some young kid was there, gesturing at me to, try and put a wheel up and do a wheelie on the way out of there. And I just looked at him and just shook my head.
Yeah.
And I drove off very slowly.
But the issue is you'll get a lot of the younger drivers that can fall for that pressure.
I've noticed some of the more mature drivers falling for that pressure too.
Well,
absolutely.
I haven't been to many Cars and Coffees recently because it's very early in the morning.
Give it a little blast on the way out.
And look, there's times where, give it a bit of a rev. But
give it a little rev, and look, maybe you can give it a little enthusiastic shove up to the legal speed limit.
Yeah.
Because these things do sound wonderful.
Yeah.
And I get what they're going for. They don't want the Mustang into a crowd.
It's a crowd killer, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you drive a Mustang, just don't.
Just don't.
You don't know what you're doing. You bought a Mustang. They are complex cars to handle, and I can see how that would happen. And I truly, this is the thing, I understand where it's going.
Yeah.
But in other parts of the world, you can drive fast, people follow the rules, and it all works together.
Yep.
And if you tell me every K over is a killer, I'm going to tell you that more people take their own lives each year than die in traffic accidents. So tell me what you're doing about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And whoa, hang on, no, we don't have an answer for that because we can't make money out of that.
Exactly.
So I'm like, righto, jam it up your ass then, because if you're really worried about saving lives, you try and figure out, why so many people top themselves, and you put more effort into that, and you're not waiting, got people waiting 8 months to go and see somebody for some help.
Yep.
So don't tell me it's about saving lives because you're lying.
Yep. Exactly right.
And I'll just, at that point, I will get off my high horse. But it frustrates me that as people that are genuine enthusiasts that want to do the right thing, you're still tarred by that same brush.
Yeah. It's as soon as I started driving, I picked up on it immediately. The whole, was it the nanny state they call
nanny
it?
State.
Is that
That's the one.
Nanny state.
That's us.
I get all my driving grievances from my dad. So he taught me how to drive. So I always found myself when I started driving, I was like, oh, what the fuck is this guy doing? Doing that over there, and what's he doing on his phone over there? Like always, picking on the small, obviously, phone's not a small thing, but picking on stuff. But I've really noticed it because of him. And now I'm sort of sitting there thinking, am I whinging? Is there something we can do about it? Or what is there? That's the problem.
And what's funny is I do think that a lot of it is, as you said, the nanny state. There's really funny things when you look at Australia, through a wider lens, is that we talk about being, Ned Kelly, Bush Ranger, loose units. But in reality, when you look at us as a nation, we're actually very much, law-abiding, rule-following. We are actually an enormously conservative country, incredibly conservative, very, very, much leaning that way, just in terms of, and I'm not necessarily talking politics here, but just we are a very conservative place. We love our rules.
Yeah.
Everything needs a rule, and sadly, we end up making most of those rules for the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
And that seems to be like there's no room, as you said, there's no wiggle room there for, just thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
We have to make a rule for the dumbest 1%, and then the rest of the society has to be dragged down to that dumbest point. And then we find ourselves in this place instead of
natural selection.
Oh, and because I've pondered this for a long time, and that's the best I can come up with.
Yeah, it's just the way it is, unfortunately. But
long and the short of it, put more money into driver training.
100%. Yeah. Funnily enough, though, my license is clean. Somehow. Don't ask me how.
Because you're very well behaved. You're a responsible adult.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, yes, I would say that, but it's also, a cheeky little phone app that we all have that tells us whether, the ways.
Starts with W and ends with A's. But, it's also a lovely reminder. I also use it as a speedo because in my old cars.
Yeah, because it's more accurate.
Because I got a speeding fine in my Land Cruiser, and I'm like,
how's that possible?
That's what I said to my wife.
You want a downhill?
Would you believe it? It was in the tunnels. And so I'm 100% confident that it would have been downhill,
decline,
in the tunnels. Because I'm like, mate, the bloody car can't go. Like it was, because it was 7 or 8K over. And I'm
really? Wow.
I'm like, are you joking? I'm like, that old chug-a-lug is the slowest thing in the universe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I said to her, I'm like, how on earth do I get a bloody speeding fine in the slowest vehicle I've ever owned in my whole life?
Well, that's always the way it is, though. You get speeding fines in the slow cars. The first one I got was in a Suzuki Swift.
Like, this
I've
isn't
never
right.
had a speeding fine in any of the quicker cars that I've owned, ever. It's weird, but it might come down to noise as well. You're driving a quiet, small car, and it's sort of like, oh shit, I'm doing 20 over because it's so quiet. I didn't realize.
You don't notice it. Actually, you have that same problem with Teslas.
Yeah.
And you look down, you're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Oh, okay. Well, I should probably rein it in a little bit.
You don't get that experience of speed.
But once you hit that certain speed in, the I-20, I'm like, oh, my ears are really, really ringing right now. It's too fast. It's too loud. So.
One of the next things I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
You've been hanging around some other racing drivers as well. Are you able to share any of this, or do we have to detour away from that? I wasn't sure if this was official news.
Absolutely, we can talk about it.
I'm so excited. All right, because this is massive.
So what have you seen?
Look, to me, this is massive because you have obviously cultivated your skills.
Yep.
As a content creator, a producer.
Yep.
A performer. You have the capacity to carry a show all by yourself.
Yeah.
And then that has been recognised by another prominent figure in Australian motorsport.
Yeah.
And you're going to be working directly with them.
Yep. So it started out, I'd say it was about a month ago, I met Renee Gracie. So everyone knows Renee Gracie was in V8 Supercars. She's currently racing in GT3s and GT4s. So I met Renee. There was a video shoot up at Mark Griffith's with her Audi R8. And so during the video shoot, I was just sort of loitering, and I did a couple of videos and photos on my phone because phones are absolutely capable of, so much these days. They're ridiculous. So I did a couple of photos, a couple of videos, and I believe Mark saw them. Like I showed them to him, and Renee saw them, and they thought, wow, it's really, really good for a phone. And I was like, yeah, no, it's just a little bit of stuff I do on the side. I like to, little reels here and there. And they knew that I was going down to the Sydney night sprints, and that was on a Thursday night. And they were actually down there for the rest of the weekend for the GT3. So Renee was racing in the Ginetta. And they asked me if I wanted to hang around and, follow Renee and do some photos, do some videos. And I was like, abso-freaking-lutely. Like, I would never turn that down. So I spent the entire weekend with Renee, the whole gang. And I felt very welcome. Everyone was so lovely. And so essentially I was just following her doing short videos, photos, B-roll stuff for her social media because she needs content. So she's doing it with OnlyFans. So she needs content to push out on her Instagram for OnlyFans. And I guess it's also having a friendly face around or having another female around is probably a little bit more relaxing. So I followed her the whole weekend. I got, shots of her in the car, just everything. And I guess I must have done something right because I've now been invited back to the weekend, end of July when the V8 supercars are on. So she'll be in the Audi R8 that weekend. So I'll be going around getting videos, photos of that and giving them all to her and, letting her do what she wants with the videos. And, that's essentially...
I think that's really amazing because, Renee's, she is...
phenomenal.
She's phenomenal. And look, she's really working hard at this because, Tall Poppy is alive and well in Australia.
100%.
And look, she has chosen a path less travelled.
Yep.
But oddly, she's come out with what she is doing. I think that there is a huge amount of jealousy in the sense that not only has she bankrolled this herself, but then she has got a major international partner on board who has seen the opportunity in Australian motorsport. And despite the fact that she's not getting on-air coverage, because I know that it's a spicy meatball around town, it is. And I get that. And there were actually some things there. There was a QR code and stuff that went through and you're like, oh, I don't know if that's, family friendly. And I went, look, I get that.
Yeah.
But, mate, there was penthouse on cars in the 90s. Like, it's... Same.
Playboy.
Playboy, absolutely. Yep. If you're going to be offended about this...
Don't look at it.
Yeah, but you can't be because this has all been done before. It's actually just being done rather than it just being a dude's thing and everyone going, She's driving it.
Yep.
And she's pushing it and it's on her terms, on her rules. And, this is groundbreaking.
It is.
What she is doing is totally, totally groundbreaking.
But it's so easy for people to sit behind their keyboards and go, oh, well, she finished last and she did this and she did that and she's awful. And I'm like, but do you factor in any of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes? Are you out there in an Audi R8 going around Sydney Motorsport and, all around Australia, giving it, all you've got? Like, I don't see you doing that. She's doing it all by herself. And
while being swiped at.
Yeah. I honestly don't know how she does it. Like, someone comes up to me and says, oh, you look so crappy today. I'll, probably go home and cry myself to sleep. But,
and that's the thing. She's taking an absolute belting with the, the attitudes and the ignorance.
Yep.
But she's bloody made it happen.
Yep.
And I hear, hanging around racetracks as I do, I hear a lot of sob stories about people, I could have made it if I had the money. And I'm like, mate, you don't just get the money.
No, you work for it.
You work for it and you earn it and you build an audience and you build a, and you build a personality and you just, there's a lot of work that goes into this.
Mm-hmm.
And not only has she done it, but like she has, she's really, it was when she brought the platform on board as well.
Oh,
because
the uproar about it.
Well, bringing OnlyFans on as a brand, I mean, it would be the same way if Twitch went, we'll support you as a streamer. Like, that's reasonably unheard of to come into motorsport, because if there's one thing that people are begging for, it's, sponsorship in motorsport. And we're going, hang on, they're putting a real program together here. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal.
Mm-hmm. And it's huge.
Massive.
But she's honestly so lovely. You sit there and just have a normal chat with her. Lovely. And again, end of the day, human being, just like the rest of us, with feelings. So it's easy to attack someone on the internet behind the keyboard and that. But when you actually meet them and know them, it's entirely different. You sort of learn about them and all the little things. But I'm absolutely thrilled to be working with her and Mark Griffith and everyone. Like, it's an opportunity I never saw. So really thrilled to be following them around, and I think it's Sydney Motorsport on the 28th weekend, and then after that it'll be Queensland Raceway. So even if I'm behind the camera and I'm not in the race car, it's at the end of the day, it's not my show, it's Renee's show, and I'm happy to be part of that show because I'm at a fucking racetrack. I don't want to be anywhere else.
Exactly. Where else would you rather be? And look, I think that's part of your gift is that you get this because, you've worked so hard at it yourself.
Yep.
And you can see that yourself. And I think that that's, part of why these opportunities are opening up for you as well, is people see that, you have a humility to you and you have a work ethic that you have demonstrated.
Yeah. And
this is something that I say to anybody that, asks me about motorsport sponsorship. You don't get it till you don't need it anymore.
Yep.
Like the first, that's when people will get involved. You have to be a sure thing.
Yep.
You have to perform. You have to be able to, day in, day out. You can't be a loose cannon going off. You have to be a sure thing.
Yep.
And that's what you've done, is you've built that platform. You've built that.
Yep. It's not just about the
integrity.
times.
It is not. And I've said this to a lot of people that I've worked with. Your results actually don't matter that much.
No.
Like, it's good. And SVG goes and wins NASCAR.
Oh, that was insane.
And that's amazing. But to exist in motorsport, you actually don't need to be winning.
No.
You need to be entertaining.
Exactly.
And that is something that is lost on a great number of drivers, is if you are entertaining and engaging and bring people into the sport, you have enormous value over somebody that struggles to hold an audience and doesn't speak very well and isn't very warm. That person is, they might be the best driver.
Not marketable.
Not marketable. You're not, because you are the product.
Yep. You make the product. Yeah. So, it's definitely going to be a busy end of the year, that's for sure.
It's going to be crazy. You're end of the year.
Traveling around with Renee Gracie, and then we got Goodwood, and we got World Time Attack Challenge, then we got the N Festival, and then I haven't even thought about putting my Christmas lights up yet, because that's going to be another thing that I got to think about.
You just got to put the Christmas lights on the car because you won't be there.
Not even going to do it this year. It's going to be that busy, but it's going to be incredible, and I don't even know where to start.
No, it's a full spin out. It is a full spin out.
Yeah.
We've been gas bagging here for about 2 hours. Would you believe
2 hours?
Yeah.
Wow.
How good is this podcasting thing? If people want to follow you around the internet, follow your travels, follow you to Goodwood, all the crazy stuff, what are the best places for people to follow your content?
So I have multiple platforms, but the ones I use most. So Instagram, it's Eleanor TV. Now, there's going to be a struggle with the spelling.
I'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it
so
in
you
the
can
notes,
just click, clickety.
Just think about the car, Eleanor, and then think about dinosaurs, SAUR at the end, and TV, or just search Eleanor, Eleanor. You'll find me on Instagram, you'll find me on TikTok, you'll find me on Twitch, you'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me pretty much everywhere. But for Goodwood, everything like that, it's going to be Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm just going to be trying to post it on all my platforms, so you can keep up to date on whichever one you want.
And before we tap out, I think we probably need to, Eleanor, where on earth did that come from?
So I love dinosaurs, and growing up, there was a show called Walking with Dinosaurs, and absolutely loved it. And there was actually a little dinosaur on the show called a Eleanor. And it was a very cute little forest-dwelling dinosaur. I was like, oh, it's kind of got a ring to it. And I thought, it sounds like my name, Eleanor or Eleanor. So I kind of thought, that's it. I'm going to go with that. I like dinosaurs. Cute little dinosaur. Let's go with Eleanor. But thinking about it now, some people do tend to struggle trying to spell it, but I still like it. So that's where it came from. That's it. That's me. I am Eleanor.
That is your spirit animal.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I'm going to wind this up. Eleanor Terry, thank you very much for coming and spending this time with me. Congratulations on your N-fluencer status. I'm not going to congratulate you on your trip to Goodwood because I'm hideously jealous. No, it's bloody awesome. Like the stuff that you are doing, the stuff that that you're going to do, all the things ahead. I'm so excited to see where this journey goes for you, and I only wish you bigger and better things because I think you got a hell of a ride ahead of you.
Oh, we have a long ride ahead, but it's going to be fucking good. So,
thank you again. For those of you listening, chat to you soon.